Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we're taking a look at the Surefire Kingpin M2, a mechanical keyboard from the people at Verbatim. Want to know more? Keep watching to find out. Okay, so in today's video we're taking a look at the Verbatim Surefire Kingpin M2. This is the latest addition in the range of products from Verbatim in their Surefire branding. If you've not heard of Verbatim before, where have you been? They've been around for absolutely forever, and they are basically, well, they used to always be the kind of the data professionals. So if you needed a flash drive, a floppy drive, CD audio, discs, that kind of stuff, they were the people to go to. Verbatim were a very high quality brand, and it seems they still are in terms of some of their hardware peripherals. So today we're going to take a look at the Surefire Kingpin M2, see what's good, see what's bad, see what's indifferent, and work out if it's going to be the next keyboard for you. So let's start off with some of the specifications. So this is in the US English language, which is slightly unfortunate because the US setup isn't quite right for us here in the UK. As it stands at the moment, it doesn't appear there is actually a UK version of this, so apologies to UK people. You'll have to make do with the US version, but they do versions for other European nations, etc. I'll put some links in the video description so you can check out what languages are available for your particular region. As you can quite obviously see, it has some absolutely glorious RGB, and actually, I would argue, some of the nicest fonts I've ever seen on a keyboard. This really does take it up another notch, it really does. Which is actually pretty decent considering the price for this mechanical keyboard. You can pick this up for somewhere in the region of about £40 here in the UK at launch. No doubt that will change a little bit, up or down, but again, there will be links in the video description so you can check out your local pricing. So other than a fantastic font on the keyboard legend itself, we've got some other cool features such as red linear switches. So these don't have any tactile bump. There's around about a 50 grams actuation force, and you have to press it down somewhere in the region of about 4mm in order for it to actually register, which for me, I really do like linear switches. I don't necessarily like the tactile bump that some keyboards have. So if you are in the same boat as me, then this is going to be right up your street. It doesn't seem there's any other options at the moment, and also something which is a little bit on the negative side, they don't actually state where or who the switches are made by. My guess is they're possibly an Otomu clone, but I don't know for sure, and without taking it apart, it's very hard to find out. Of which you probably don't want to do. These switches are not hot swappable, so they are soldered to the board. So in order to actually identify them, really you're going to have to desolder them, take them out and take them apart to have a really good look. From what I can see from some of my close-up images, there doesn't appear to be any obvious markings on them. The only things which I can tell is they are a north illuminated RGB, which some people may prefer, but other than that, there's not really a lot to go on. When it comes to the actual weight of the keyboard, the quality in this actually does show through in terms of obviously the legend, but also the weight. This thing is almost a kilo in weight and actually feels pretty solid. You've got a solid metal deck, which is always nice to see. There is a plastic underbelly, which is pretty much what we expect, but it's nice to see a nice metal deck, and there's a little bit of flex, but you really have to go at it in order to do so. We've also got all the usual features that you expect to see on a premium style keyboard. So you've got N key rollover, 100% anti-ghosting. You've also got some nice little extra features such as a braided USB cable, and it does connect to the computer via a USB type A connection. This means you can use it with a PC, you can use it with things like Xbox, PlayStation, various other Android devices, pretty much anything which accepts a USB keyboard. Other nice features, the keyboard actually has adjustable rake on it, very basic design, so just a single flap on there, so you can just raise it up by about 6 degrees, which gives you a slightly nicer typing angle, again depending what you want, or you can use it completely flat. And it also comes with a 2-year warranty, which is pretty nice. The keyboard actually comes with a 1.8 meter cable, which is nicely braided, and also there is a little Velcro strap in there for cable management, should you not want to use all that. Maybe you've got it plugged into a laptop and you want to tidy up the cables, you can certainly do that. I've actually got this powered through another extension, which is running through the PC behind me, just to keep it all illuminated. And illumination is something that it seems to do particularly well. I really do like the look of this keyboard. It's a shame that it isn't in the UK layout. I could see this actually being a contender for my daily driver. But as you can see, it is in the American layout, so the keys are in a slightly different position. The keys are actually removable, so the keycaps you can actually take off. They don't include a keycap puller, which is a little bit of a shame, but the keycaps come off relatively easily, a little bit of a tug and they will come off. These aren't PBT double shot, although they are kind of double shot looking, but they're not. There is just like a film or a protective coating over the top of the keycap to allow the RGB to shine through, of which it does very nicely and very clearly. This layout and the legend does actually remind me a lot of the Corsair K70. Let me know what you think in the comments. So with the keycap removed, you can see there is the red switch, of which has no name. Again, it does feel very similar to Otomu switches, although it does feel slightly more premium. I'm not too sure whether it's because of the deck or because of the actual keycaps they've used, but it does actually feel a little bit nicer than some of those cheaper Chinese keyboards on the market. Some of the nice features that I like to see personally is the fact that this is actually a full-size keyboard, as you can tell. So we do have our number pad on the side there. You also got your up-down arrow keys, all the extra function keys here, and also a full complement of function keys along the top here. Also, you can use the actual keys to control lighting, etc. So all of it is clearly marked out on the legend. So you've got the speed of the RGB, you've also got the RGB style, you've also got the brightness as well. So there's 5 incremental levels of brightness. Changing them, very simple to do. Just press and hold your function key and press the end key, which is for modes. And you can go through the available modes. So this takes you into like the Aurora color flow type thing. Then the next one is a per key illuminated. Then we've got the dispersal. So when you press it, it goes through and it does react quite nicely. So if you press it slowly, it moves slowly, and if you tap it fast, it does go very fast. So that's quite a nice effect. And the last one is going to be the flashing of a specific color, of which you can all change this in software. They do actually provide some software. There was a little bit of a snafu with the software on my particular system. At the time of making this video, I did try to download the software from their website, and I had a bizarre message saying that the file was, let's say, inappropriate. So I've left that out of this particular review. Obviously, if you want to use the software to create things like macros and change individual RGB styles, all that kind of stuff, then you certainly can do. For me personally, I think less software on a PC is probably the better. But again, if you do want to use that, potentially you can get it. I have sent an email to both the supplier and Verbatim mentioning about the software and the potential snag that I've encountered. And obviously, depending on their response, I'll let you know in the video description. Talking of doing things a little bit better, something else which is not entirely making sense to me, but it is something which I think I should point out. Obviously, at the moment, you can see the RGB here is just a flashing red, which matches nicely with the Surefire branding. But what doesn't match, unfortunately, is the side-mounted RGB. Now, at first, I thought this was actually matching to whatever style you have actually on the keyboard. And again, potentially you might be able to change that in the software, though it doesn't appear to be. So if I do press the function key once again and go back into, this is kind of like your gaming mode, so your gaming keys are lit up, and it's still RGB on the ends. Now the RGB effect is actually pretty nice, and if you're going to be one of those people that just leaves it in unicorn puke mode, obviously that ties in very nicely and actually gives it a very nice extra look, and you've got it on both sides, so it does tie in very nicely. Would have been nice to have seen that match up the rest of the deck. Again, whether or not that's a fault with this particular keyboard, I have no way of finding out at the moment, but I guess it is what it is. For most people, you're probably not going to be peering around the sides too much anyway, and it does give a very, very subtle glow on the sides. But overall, I think it's actually a pretty decent keyboard. You've got extra lights up there for your num lock, your caps lock, and also your shift lock, scroll lock, etc., whatever you want to choose. So yeah, overall, I think it's actually a really nice keyboard. At the £40 price, I feel it could do with coming down a little bit more. There does appear to be an absolute ton of competition on the market. But what really does set this one apart from some of the other slightly cheaper ones that you might find is the actual build quality and also the legend and the keycaps. The feel to this is actually really nice, and I'll give you an example of what the keys sound like now. So as you can see, there is no tactile bump, and as you can obviously hear as well, there's no tactile bump. It literally is a linear switch. Again, something which is really nice about this keyboard, which kind of you don't always expect, is the fact that the stabilisers appear to be extremely good and do a very good job. All the keys seem very rigid. There's very little movement to them. It does feel very good, and the space bar, again, regardless of where you hit it, it feels absolutely perfect. They've done a really, really good job on putting this together. The combination of the keycaps, the switches, the stabilisers, and that metal deck. I think it's actually very hard to beat in terms of the actual construction quality and the overall feel of the keyboard. They've got top marks there, they really have. The thing that lets it down is obviously the little snafu with the software, the fact that they don't offer a UK version for those of us living in the UK or that like to use the UK layout, and potentially those little weird things going on with the RGB on the side. But other than that, actually pretty decent, gets my approval. It's just a real shame there isn't a UK version, otherwise I could probably use this for quite an extended period, I think. Anyway, what I think about it isn't important, what you think about it is. So let me know in the comment section what you think about this one. Have you tried a Surefire keyboard before? Is it something that you've got on your desk at the moment? If it is, let us know. I'll be really happy to hear from you. So I think that's going to wrap this one up. Thanks very much to Surefire for sending this one out to us for review purposes. For now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.